What is Christmas? Why is it in the middle of the dead season when the trees have no leaves? As believers in Jesus, is this something he really wants us to do? Is this something that the apostles celebrated after his resurrection? Is Christmas in the Bible? Well, is this Christmas story we will learn the facts. It is not true to say that the Western Christmas began as a Christianized feast. The Christmas tree is a pagan symbol of fertility. In northern countries, when the nights are long and cold, the feast of Christmas traditionally gave Christian people something to look forward to: rich food, reindeer if you are in Sweden, pork and lamb if you are in Greece, lots of candles, Catholic Mass at midnight or Protestant services on Christmas morning. Fern trees were brought inside and lit with candles as a symbol of the hope that spring would return with new crops and plentiful food. In Rome, they celebrated Saturnalia, a holiday in honor of a god called Saturn, the god of agriculture, was celebrated. Beginning in the week leading up to the winter solstice and continuing for a full month, Saturnalia was a hedonistic time, when food and drink were plentiful, and the normal Roman social order was turned upside down. For a month, enslaved people were given temporary freedom and treated as equals. Business and schools were closed so that everyone could participate in the holiday's festivities. Also, around the time of the winter solstice, Romans observed Juvenilia, a feast honoring the children of Rome. In addition, members of the upper classes often celebrated the birthday of Mithra, the god of the unconquerable sun, on December 25th. It was believed that Mithra, an infant god, was born of a rock. For some Romans, Mithra's birthday was the most sacred day of the year. Is Christmas really the day Jesus was born? In the early years of Christianity, Easter was the main holiday. The birth of Jesus was not celebrated. In the 4th century, church officials decided to institute the birth of Jesus as a holiday. Unfortunately, the Bible does not mention date for his birth, a fact Puritans later pointed out in order to deny the legitimacy of the celebration. Although some evidence suggests that his birth may have occurred in the spring, why would shepherds be shearing their sheep in the middle of winter? Pope Julius I chose December 25th. It is commonly believed that the Church chose this date in an effort to adopt and absorb the traditions of the pagan Saturnalia festival. First called the Feast of the Nativity, the custom spread to Egypt by 432 and to England by the end of the 6th century. By holding Christmas at the same time as traditional winter solstice festivals, church leaders increased the chances that Christmas would be popularly embraced but gave up the ability to dictate how it was celebrated. By the Middle Ages, Christianity had, for the most part, replaced pagan religion. On Christmas, believers attended church, then celebrated raucously in a drunken, carnival-like atmosphere similar to today's Mardi Gras. Each year, a beggar or student would be crowned the Lord of Misrule, and eager celebrants played the part of his subjects. The poor would go to the houses of the rich and demand their best food and drink. If owners failed to comply, their visitors would most likely terrorize them with mischief. Christmas became the time of year when the upper classes could repay their real or imagined debt to society by entertaining less fortunate citizens. Also, another god was celebrated in the temples to this day. His statue remains. Well, some will say it is Mary holding baby Jesus, when in all reality it is not baby Jesus, and it is not Mary. In fact, Semiramis also declared that her son, Tammuz, was in actuality the return or rebirth of her husband, Nimrod. Hence, through this teaching, the doctrine of reincarnation was born. And since Tammuz was born on December 25th, this day was highly honored and recognized by Nimrod's supporters. With all this said, every pagan holiday that was Christmas would be celebrated the same way that the so-called church celebrates. A god that they worship was born on December 25th. They would cut trees down, specifically the fern tree. and decorate it with sliver strings and balls and lights, sound familiar. Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 3 through 4. For the customs of the people are vain, for one cut a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman, with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, they fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it moves not. Did you catch that the Bible says that custom is vain? Producing no result, and it's useless. That's the vain that the book of Jeremiah is referring to. Also the apostles did not keep Christmas because it is a pagan holiday. In fact, Paul says in the book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 16, it is mentioned that Paul was in a hurry to reach Jerusalem, if possible, by the day of Pentecost. In 1 Corinthians 5:8, Paul urges the people to keep the feast with sincerity and truth. And I bet a lot of people says, well, God knows my heart. Okay, let's take a verse and see what God says about our hearts. Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked, who can know it? God has his own holidays for us to keep to truly worship him in truth. We do not have the authority to place Jesus' name on anything we want to and say it is okay to do it or celebrate it, when the book is clear not to. If anything, we should be keeping his holy feasts such as Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, Pentecost, trumpets, Day of Atonement, tabernacles. Some people keep Hanukkah, and Feast of Lots, or known as Purim. They are not commanded to keep forever, but it is a lot better than pagan holidays. I don't know about you, but as for me and my house, we will worship the Lord in spirit and in truth, and not follow what man says to do. But we will follow what the Bible says. Will you?